Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbing Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchi, and great to have you here as always. It's a special show today. We're not going to be talking politics at all. I know we usually start talking about the government and all of that, and especially because it's a month since President Buhari took office, and there's a lot of mixed reactions as to how he's taking charge of things so far. But we're going to leave all of that till our next show. Today we have a lot to talk about with regards to books and women and technology and entertainment and all of that. And I'm going to be starting with my very first guest who's here to share with us her thoughts on her book and her upcoming events. Her name is Tolu Falode. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. A pleasure.
It's interesting to have you here. For those who don't know, just a bit of a background. It's been a year since what inspired this book occurred. So just give us a quick background story of that.
Okay, what happened was on the 14th of February last year, 2014, I lost my only sibling, Toba Falode. He died tragically and suddenly and also viciously in Dubai. And it was a very sudden event for my family because we're a very close-knit family, my mom, my brother, and I. So you can imagine and still fail to grasp the intensity and grief caused by his death to myself and my mother. Yeah. And as a result, I was in a very dark space, understandably. I was very lost. I was seriously grieving, and I was depressed. And luckily for me, I just thank God for his grace on my life, because during that period, I found myself in Christ. I found myself coming closer to God, and that was how I managed to deal with the grief. Yeah. That is what inspired this book, Gift of Grace, A Sibling Bond. Yeah.
Before we get to the book real quick now, I mean, this incident was quite popular in Nigeria at the time when it happened, especially because your mom is quite famous, Aisha Falode, who's a veteran sports journalist, amongst many other things. And when it happened, there was a lot of stories about, the police there not being cooperative and how there was an alleged suspect at the time and nothing was being done about him. I don't know, is there any progress with that particular situation?
Unfortunately, there hasn't been any progress. The suspects are still at large, and those people responsible, who are Faisal, who's a Saudi Arabian man, and Olivia, who is a British lady, they are still at large. The Dubai police has not been cooperative, more so our Nigerian police and the Nigerian government. Luckily, we have stepped into a new system of governance, so hopefully my family and I will be able to move forward with this case.
That's scary. Nothing has happened at all with anybody?
No, it's very shameful and it's very unfortunate for my family. Sometimes I still pinch myself trying to remember the fact that this is what has happened. My brother is no longer here, and he's not being, the fact that he lost his life is not being respected, and it's really a difficult process for my family.
Did the Nigerian embassy there at all help in any way? Were they involved at all?
No, they were not really involved. It was mostly my family being able to move by God's grace, because as I explain in my book, I go into so much detail about how difficult it was to move forward in Dubai, and also how it was even more difficult to try and get the government to cooperate once we came back. And that is the struggle we're still facing. Yeah. Wow.
So that's really, really sad. I know you don't want to talk too much about the particular incident because I mean it's definitely a sad one for you and your family. So I mean we'll continue to pray, and hopefully, like you said, there's a new government in power in Nigeria now, and they might hopefully take things like this a little more seriously. But let's talk about the book now. I mean, you wrote a book in grief.
Yes.
How does that work? What happened?
What happened was I found myself very lost, and I just found myself writing. I needed a way to communicate my emotions because I myself couldn't understand them. So I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And I think after I'd written over 100 pages, I started to share some of my words with my mother. And she just said very softly, that could be in a book. And from that moment onwards, I started writing towards the aim of publishing a book. And that is how Gift of Grace, A Sibling Bond came about.
Okay, is it stories about your brother? Is it stories about yourself? Is it stories about the last year? What exactly is this book about?
It's really a semi-biography. It's a story of myself and by extension my brother, our relationship, our siblings, my family, his life, his death, and my progress after his death. So it's really my family's story in more ways than one. Yeah.
How has, was he younger than you?
He was. He was just 2 years younger than me. He was so full of life. Toba wanted to do music, which is why he was in Dubai. He was at the SAE Institute, one of the best colleges in the world to study music. He was there for less than 6 months before this happened. And that is why it's more so a tragedy for me, because I know how driven he was. And I communicate all of that in the book. I do all of that in the book, yeah.
Okay, it looks like a lot you have written. It's all facts, no fiction in here.
No fiction.
I can see a few pictures as well that you shared, you know, with when he was alive, of course,
yes.
and when you were much younger and all of that. So
yes.
Looks pretty interesting. Wow.
Thank you.
So is the book on sale now? How does this work? Is it out? Is it on sale? Where can we get it?
It's available. You can get it on conga.com. You can also get it at Latin Adventures in VI and also Terra Culture in VI. Those are the 3 outlets right now. So, and people can also follow the book and its story on Facebook at Tolu Falode Gift of Grace, on Instagram with the handle Fan the Flame, and on Twitter with Tolu Falode as the handle. Okay. And there's also a website, thegiftofgrace.net.
The Gift of Grace sounds like an interesting name, and I want to link that to my question now, which is, a lot of people always think, oh, when something like this happens and people write a book or do a movie, it's like, oh, let's make quick money out of a sad situation, out of grief. Is that what you're doing, and is there a reason, is there a foundation, is there something that the sales of this book is tied to?
The book is really tied to, which is where I'm going right now, is my event.
Okay.
My event is on the 11th of July at Protea Hotel. Luckily for me, and by the grace of God, the people there were so nice, specifically Miss Rita Opia. They were able to get me a space. I really have a heart for young people, which is why I wrote the book. That is my aim in writing this book. I am just following what I believe was my purpose through this pain, which is to share my story and enable other people that have suffered similar and more grievous losses to bear with the loss and to see a light through the darkness, because it's a very dark place when you lose someone that you love very much. Yeah. And that is really the aim of this book. That's why it's titled Gift of Grace, because it was truly the grace of God that enabled me to not only write this. I never in my life thought I could write 3-4 pages. I don't know how I wrote this. I look at it sometimes and I'm just amazed at how grateful I am to God. And it's just the gift of grace. Yeah.
So what is this event about?
Well, the event is specifically targeted towards young people. Like I said, I have a heart for young people, especially since I lost my brother. He was 19. He was just a few months shy of 20. And I'm also in my early 20s. So I just want people to understand that your walk with God is not for your parents. It's not something that you can say is boring. It's unique to yourself. Yeah. So the event is for young people, enabling them to understand the power in relationship with God and enabling them to see that you will move faster towards your purpose that way. And that is how I am in a space where I'm living my purpose right now.
So is it going to be like speaking?
Yes.
There are going to be speakers or?
Yes, it's going to be a motivational event. It's going to be for around just two hours or so, and there'll be a lunch. There'll be, it's a very casual affair. It's specifically targeted towards people that are hungry for purpose. They're lost. And those that have even developed a relationship with God, just to show there is a community of Christians here to support you.
How do people get involved if they want to?
Well, if people want to get involved, like I said, there are handles that they can join myself at, and they can also take up the cause for Justice for My Brother on Facebook. Okay. On Facebook, the handle is Justice for Tyler Frey.
Justice for Tyler Frey. I think that was his musical name or something.
His musical name, Tyler Frey. Justice for Tyler Frey. That's Tyler, Frey, F-R-A-Y, a.k.a. Toba Falode. That's Facebook. On Instagram, it's also Justice for Tyler Frey. And on Twitter, it's also Justice for Tyler Frey. If they want to get involved with the event and the book, and just helping out with moving forward. And those that have, I encourage those that have suffered any sort of loss to reach out. Yeah. They can join me on Facebook at Tolu Falode, Gift of Grace, Instagram, Fan the Flame, Facebook, I already mentioned Facebook, Twitter, Tolu Falode, and I have a blog. It's called theflameoffaith.blogspot.com. Okay. So I really encourage people to reach out. I am here to show my support and my help in any way, and that is what the event is also targeted at.
Is the event open to everybody?
It is. It's open to everyone, and it would be a pleasure to see people there, because I truly believe that we all have a purpose in this life, and I just believe my own calling specifically is to enable young people to discover theirs.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having
coming.
me, Buka.
Get the gift of grace at bookstores.
Yes.
Yeah, bookstores nationwide. I mean, it's a great cause to support. And once again, our condolences to you and your family on the loss of your brother. Hopefully, I mean, you would think a country like the United Arab Emirates would be a little more efficient with things like this, but
they're not. It's not.
We wish
safe.
you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Rubbing Minds. Please stay with us.